Hey everybody, and welcome back to our first Hearts of Iron 4 video in a long time. And I am a little bit rusty in this playthrough, and it was actually meant to be a longer video that went past me just getting the William Wallis achievement, but I messed up on that. And for people that want maybe an update on what's going on with the Crusader Kings 3 series, I am still going to do it, and I think the next few parts will be a lot more interesting than the first two. It's just, I'm pretty busy right now, and on top of that, my car just broke down. Well, not broke down, but I'm having some issues with it. I have to replace parts, so yeah, life. But we're going to start off with limited rearmament as our first focus. We're going to do some pretty standard stuff with the research, just one on research speed, 2 on industry, and then 1 just researching any weapon stuff that we're missing. And then we'll do 10 infantry equipment, 10 factories on infantry equipment, 3 on tanks, 3 on towed artillery, and then I just stopped producing the tanks. I think I said tanks instead of trucks. 5 factories on trucks, but no factories on tanks, putting 15 on fighters, 10 on close air support, and then I'm just maxing out the dockyards so that once something is finished, it just automatically goes at max capacity that it can for the next ship that's being built, because there's a bunch of ships that are being built before the game starts. And I'm actually going to disband. It's a lot to say. I thought I'd be cutting out a lot of this intro part, but I did delete all of my divisions, and you'll see what I'm doing in a second. And we're just going to do a pretty regular construction thing. I am going to build military factories in London right off the bat, just to give us a little bit of a boost there, as we will need a lot of equipment. But other than that, I am just increasing infrastructure, then building civilian factories across England, and building some military factories in Norway, I think is what it's called, right? And for our army, our navy, we're just going to combine it all, and we're not going to use it for quite a while because, well, we're going to be at peace for quite a while. Oh yeah, since if you've gotten this achievement or even attempted it, we're just gone monarchist, you know that it takes a while to get started as Britain, but once you get started as monarchist Britain, it takes a while. Once you get started, though, it's pretty cool. George V just died. Ethiopia wants us to take them in, so I did that. The Rhineland is remilitarized, all that. And we're going to immediately go to expanding the Secret Intelligence Service so that we can hopefully get some pretty good spy network set up in our enemy countries. And also, I just did this. So first, we're going to try and build a spy network in France, because we will actually be going after France first, out of major powers, But it might have shown on screen before, I'm not sure. But I also think this is just a great thing to point out. As UK, you can invite German and Italian scientists. Pretty big bonus, you just take a stability hit. But now we're having the things where we doing the royal marriage with, I think it's Amelia Wallis, and we're already facing pushback from cabinet, and we're doing reinforce the empire and going down that branch because we're trying to also do. And I did this later in the part that I deleted. Well, actually, deleted is a strong word. It kind of just went wrong. Where I made the Imperial Federation. But yeah, that's why I was going down Reinforce the Empire. And we're taking any debuffs we get just to make sure that the royal marriage happens, especially because eventually those debuffs will go away once we establish our government, our new government. And with Encourage Colonial Elite, we have quite the research speed bonus now. And now finally, the Dominions have broken with us, and that kind of brings into play what we're eventually going to do, which is conquer the Dominions, of course. But now we're going to do a change in course, which actually I think is a little bit late instead of early, as the marriage happened before we were even able to get the ability to do the King's Party. But yeah, the royal marriage happened. Our spy network in France is pretty much maxed out, so we're going to start building spy network in, well, I start in the US, but eventually I decide actually I should probably build a spy network in Canada since we're going to be invading them. And yeah, here I'm building a spy network in Canada, and I probably could have connected it if I had 4 spies, because I could have one stay in France and then the other 3 focus on all of the major like population centers in Canada, and then that would boost them to connect across the whole country, you know. But now we're going to do the King's Party. We're also training 24 just regular divisions. And now after the King's Party, our government is fully formed. So we actually have the king in power and a lot of the debuffs are gone. But we still have a long way to go before we actually get to war. So let's do God Save the King. And this is an important thing that I almost forgot, is the garrison stuff. Gotta set that to civilian oversight, and then have the classic 1 battalion garrison division. Because it just saves manpower, equipment, and everything. I don't know if it's the most efficient setup nowadays, but it's just something that was pretty common way back, so there might be something more efficient now, but yeah. And after God Save the King, I'm going to do consolidate the British Isles to get a war goal on Ireland. And these divisions, this first army of 24 divisions that we made, will be mainly involved in Canada. And the reason I'm not doing sending any divisions to fight in Newfoundland is because I feel like we can do a lot more damage just rushing in to their larger cities rather than having our troops waste time fighting in, you know, barren wasteland, at least as far as Hoi4 is concerned. Now, appeal to Imperial Loyalists. We're not actually going to use the Imperial Loyalists because I want to conquer all of the dominions, and we're doing our naval invasion setup of Quebec here. And now that the appeal to Imperial Loyalists is done, we do bring the Dominions back into the fold. And I'm actually going to start hiring the political advisors that are mentioned in the King's Party description, that focus description, just because I feel like it's just a roleplay aspect, you know? But after we finish that focus, we're doing Imperial Conscription, and then we'll do Unite the Anglosphere, and then it'll mainly just be like economic focuses for the rest of the game. But we trained another 24 divisions, and they are going to invade Ireland. Realistically, probably not all of them are necessary, but you know, never hurts. It's not like Canada's actually going to give us much of a problem. Okay, and after a very long Air Force setup, we are ready to declare war on both Canada and Ireland. The reason that I want to declare war on them at the same time is to hopefully get a little bit more participation from a lot of the other nations in, I believe the faction is the Commonwealth after the Allies break up. So, yeah. Because Ireland will join the Commonwealth. But here is just a sort of a time lapse of our invasion of Canada. And obviously we need to hire like infantry experts and all of that. So if you're playing along, yeah, that's a pretty good thing. Also, something I want to mention, I probably should have mentioned it in the beginning because by now there's not going to be nearly as many people paying attention, but if you all would like me to do a tutorial on this, because I mean, there's not much to say with the Canada War, so that's why I'm saying this. You want me to do a tutorial on how to get, I got this achievement, and a much better like strategy than I did in this video, because I messed up in this video. We'll talk about the error that I made. We still get the achievement, but it's just like we're playing after the achievement. It's a pretty bad mistake. And now Canada has finally fallen. Thankfully, we didn't have to take Vancouver. That would have just been awful. And we're just going to take all states. And honestly, I could have done something super powerful. I might bring this up in a future video. Maybe I'll do more of a like pre-war setup, like pre-World War II setup video on Britain, because I just find that this is crazy good. The idea that I have. We don't perfect it here, but yeah. But after annexing the Dominions and Ireland, we're going to send our troops back home to prepare to invade France. And we're going to start justifying our war goal. And you might be asking, why in the world am I going against France? Well, that's because, at least in my test games, France, every time I'd be fighting the US, would join a faction with them, or vice versa. The US would join their faction. And so it just kind of made it a little risky with the naval invasion. We do kind of mess up with France here in a little bit, you'll see. But I'm just trying to, you know, not like spoil it, but you'll see what I'm talking about. You do something, it's not the war with France itself, it's something in the peace deal. That's all I'll say. But yeah. The reason we're invading France is just to prevent them from joining a faction with the US and causing problems whenever we fight the US. And we actually just kept our 48 divisions and then just exercised them until they were rank 3. And so we have a pretty good attack bonus on our troops, and all of our troops are fully equipped, which I don't think the French troops are, which is why we just absolutely demolish them. It's really not a fair fight after our troops get fully in. And that war with France was extremely easy. And there are a few things that I want to say in this peace deal. It will just be cut through like pretty quickly. Here's the error, by the way. Instead of taking all of the French cores, I puppeted France. And now this means that Germany will declare war on me before we finish off the United States, which sucks. But if we just annex France in the next time I play as Britain, which I will again because this is really fun, we won't really have that problem. And you can see here I'm trying to maybe fix the problem by getting diplo pressure in Germany and improving relations, just trying to get like a non-aggression pact. And what I was saying with the things I had to say about the peace deal, I think possibly, technically, the most powerful way to do that peace deal with France is either to full annex them or basically puppet everything except for France itself. So that, and this is basically just so that you're not wasting manpower on a lot of the colonial territory, because the colonial territory will realistically not serve you a whole lot of benefit, especially in the early game. And I'm talking about the colonial territory that doesn't have resource tiles on there. But now that we've defeated France, we're going to set 2 of our armies on the east coast, and we're going to start building up 2 more armies to be on the west coast. And we're going to try to force... we're going to try to sandwich the US, basically. And we're building airports because we actually have some planes that we're building. We might not get a... well, researching the stuff for the planes right now, but we might not get a huge amount of the planes out, of the newer planes out, when the war starts, but it's very, very important to do, because you just need air superiority in Hoi4. But yeah, we quick deploy our divisions, actually, because I wanted to do this as soon as possible, since, like, invade them as soon as possible, since it is 1939, and yeah, Germany's probably going to declare war on us pretty soon. So it's just kind of a thing where it's like, we gotta rush. If France, like, if I didn't mess up and puppet France, which maybe we could have annexed France, even in this playthrough, but it would have costed 300 political power, so I don't know how possible that would have been. But if we annex France instead of puppeting them, we really wouldn't have to rush getting our troops out as much, but now we do. We also have no oil right now because I think my navy is deployed somewhere. I probably didn't realize it whenever I was recording. But yeah, we did unite the Anglosphere, which gives us a war goal in the US, and it gives us a core on Ireland. Not that much manpower. It doesn't change a whole lot. I do kind of wonder that because, like, actually, hold on, something's coming up here, and that is the airplane design. If you want to, this is going at 2 times speed, so if you want to shorten it, like slow it down, I mean, then go ahead, and you can just see what I did for my airplane design. And with yet another army rushed out into the field, and you can see that Germany is already invading their neighbors. Well, I say already like it's early, but it's September 1939, so then, you know, that tracks. That's historical. And I'm trying to train some of my divisions up a little bit so that they're not complete fodder. And we got about 2,000 planes out, most of them being old planes, but 2,000 planes over New England, and that will actually be enough to defeat the American Air Force. And the fact that we have this gigantic spy network helps a lot too. Spy networks are incredible for, like, attack power and everything. But yeah, now we're just kind of getting the plan set up, and we have the naval invasion from the west. Instead of a large front over the plains and stuff, and the reason is I'm abandoning a lot of Canada to hopefully just be able to snake around their troops a lot easier, just due to them being spread out after taking over Canada, since Canada's, you know, quite large. And from this point on, this will be a time lapse of our war with the US. And as you can see, we just abandoned the Vancouver area, sent our troops over to California, and that was actually probably the best decision we made in the war, because the Eastern Front is not going to go as well as I had hoped for. And yeah, the reason I should have annexed France in the peace deal has come to fruition, as Germany is invading us and we can't really do anything about it. We'll just kind of have to pray that they don't invade the islands themselves, which, I mean, judging by the fact we got the achievement, they didn't. I don't know why they didn't invade the islands, because they had like every opportunity to, and I would not be able to respond to it, but the AI is dumber than I am, so. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, as in we could have been invaded, I still think, but for whatever reason the AI didn't do it. I don't really know why, because I was just wide open. I didn't even have my navy deployed. But enough self-criticism. And honestly, at this point, it's starting to look really, really good, you know? We've made pretty decent headway in the east. We've marched past Washington, D.C., Detroit, and all of that. But, yeah, the U.S. has moved through Canada way faster than I thought they would. And they've started doing the really annoying thing where they just start spamming naval invasions, because they didn't have troops literally everywhere. And those constant naval invasions slow down this war quite a lot. And there's not really much to say, because it's basically just a period of me, like periods of me making gains and then being pushed back because of a naval invasion that I have to pull my troops back to fight, and then rinse and repeat until eventually we win. But I still think people would want to watch the full war, as long as it's sped up, you know. So I will finally stop talking and let this time lapse go through. with that crazy save from the West Coast, we finally win the war despite losing a pretty decent chunk of our army, and we fully annex the US, take their navy just for funsies, and now it is time to release the US as a puppet, because for this achievement you need to have the United States as a puppet with Wallis in power in the US, and then for some reason Scotland needs to be a puppet. But yeah, we can install an American monarchy and get the United Kingdom of America, which is kind of cool. I kind of wonder how fun it would be to do a playthrough as United Kingdom of America. Do they have like a unique focus tree or what? But anyways, after releasing Scotland as a puppet, we get the achievement, and because I don't record my screen entirely and I just record the game window, it doesn't show up in the corner, but here, so I had my mouse moving around it, and that was the achievement. And yeah, if you guys want to see me do a much more kind of like skillful play of the British Empire and maybe give a little bit of a tutorial of what I think would be a really good pre-war setup for a monarchist Britain, at least in single player. I mean, you're probably not going to conquer the US in a multiplayer before you enter the war, but yeah, hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscription, do all that. And if you didn't, well, sorry. And I will see you all later. Bye-bye.